Hey guys, my guest tonight, Joni Mayhan, is an author and ghost hunter who has a lot of cool stories to tell. See you in about 5 minutes. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? I heard that. I did. I heard it. Anyway, sorry. It's been one of those days. Anyway, welcome. My name is Charlotte. Welcome to California Haunts Radio. I'm going to be your host for the next hour or so. We got a great guest lined up tonight. I love interviewing other ghost hunters. I just love it. Question came up on Facebook and in a couple chat rooms. Do we still ghost hunt, or are we just primarily on the radio? Right now, I'm on the radio, but we are putting the team back together. I had to take some time off. A lot of ghost hunters do take time off because it gets to be overwhelming. Well, with me, COVID hit, so we took some time off, even though we did some ghost hunting during COVID. But what happened is I had a couple of team members that passed away, which led to the summer of what I call the summer and winter of hell following COVID. My mother passed away in May. I had a good friend pass away, and then one of my team members passed away. Then my dog passed away. Then we kind of had a break. December, my other dog passed away. Another animal passed away, right? Then my brother passed away. Then my uncle passed away. Then my best friend passed away. And now that brings us into this year, right? That whole year off for COVID and then back into this year. So I've been kind of taking a break from death for a while. But it seems like everything's leveled out now. So yes, we are an active team and we're full service. And like I said, we're 45 strong up and down the state of California. And we can handle any needs you have. And I mean anything, okay? I've got a staff of 45 people of varying backgrounds and all that. But I'm also recruiting. So if anybody's listening to the show and you live up in Northern California, I'm also recruiting. Openly recruiting, and I'm going to be redoing our website. I'm going to be making it more interactive. So everything's changing, okay? Anyway, if you're watching from Facebook tonight and you like what you hear, please hit that follow button. If you're watching from YouTube, look down in the bottom right-hand corner. Did I do this right? Did I do this? Oh, there we go. That bottom right-hand corner. My camera's like backwards, guys. And you'll see a little ghost with a magnifying glass on, the Sherlock Holmes head on. Click on that, and you can subscribe to our YouTube page where we got almost 400 videos of differing topics, not just paranormal, but differing topics. And I think there's something you'll find that you like. Okay, so check that out. If you feel so inclined, and you want to check us out even further, go ahead and join my Instagram page. Okay, I do have an Instagram. It's under Ghosty Gal. So click on that and like that page too. We're also over at TikTok. See, we're very busy, very, very busy. So we're at TikTok under California Haunts. See, so we're busy. And that means if you have a ghost or something, or you think you might have a ghost in your home, and you want us to talk about it with you or something, you can find me just about anywhere. Facebook, Instagram, blah, blah. So there's all kinds of places to find me, including our website, our current website, californiahaunts.org, or the radio website at californiahauntsradio.com. See, I got it all out of my system now. Anyway, my guest tonight is a fellow ghost hunter who's also an author. She's written quite a few books. I want to let her tell you about that. But without further ado, I'm going to bring her on. And she can tell you about herself. Her name is Joni Mayhan. And I'm really eager to talk to her because I've been perusing her books. And she's got a lot of topics. She kind of reminds me of me because she's got all these topics. And I can't wait to dig into a bunch of her books. But let's talk to her and get to know her a little bit. And we'll shoot some ghost hunting stories through. How's that sound? Okay? All right, here we go. Hello.
Hi.
How are you? Hang on one second. There we go. Wrong button. They gave us the stretchy one, and I had to,
No, this is good. Hi, thank you for having me on.
Multiple buttons and stuff, though. It sucks, man.
Oh, yeah, I know. Technology.
So tell me about you.
Well, I'm a paranormal investigator. I'm a paranormal author, and I own and operate a ghost walk business in the very haunted town of New Harmony, Indiana. So Uh, I make a living on ghosts, which is kind of an odd thing for my family, anyways.
I know the last time I went to a cemetery, my sister looked at me and she said, "Well, you're the expert on this." And I kind of went, "I guess I am, but that's kind of weird to say at a funeral, you know?" So, how does your family take the fact that you're so into dealing with the dead?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
How does your family, like you say, you just made a joke about your family. How does your family feel about the fact that you deal with the dead?
I think they've gotten used to it by now. And in the beginning, it was a little weird for them because they didn't really understand or maybe believe. I mean, I grew up with parents telling me, go to bed, Joni, there is no such thing as ghosts when I would
Hmm.
feel something in my room. And I am also a medium. So I have been since I've been a small child. So I feel things. And that was harder to explain to them than the ghost hunting. And I think they've just come now to expect that. Um, it's what I do for fun. Tomorrow we're going to go investigate the Indiana State Sanatorium
Oh,
up near
cool.
Indianapolis. And it's a very big old sanatorium and just creepy cool. Like my favorite place to go. And my family were like, "You're not going to sleep there, are you?" I said, "Oh, yeah, we're actually going to sleep inside the sanatorium on air mattresses." And everybody got a shudder. They're like, "How could you do that?" It's like, I don't know. That's just what we do, and we don't find it spooky. We find it interesting. So
That's interesting. Yeah, I
not
do.
breed.
I find that fascinating, because being a fellow ghost hunter, I understand that because I grew up similar to where I was having psychic experiences too. And my family would always say, "Well, you have a vivid imagination."
Mm-hmm,
And so
mm-hmm.
that's what I thought it was till I got older and really got into ghost hunting. And I thought, no, I just not a vivid imagination. I'm actually seeing things.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds very similar to my story. I did eventually take both of my parents on ghost hunts with me, and I let them experience it themselves and turned them both into believers. So it was kind of a nice moment for me. It's like, see, I told you there were such things as ghosts.
That is really cool. That's really cool. Tell me about your books. How many books have you written?
24.
Wow. How do you find the time?
I don't know. It's just I'm compulsive and I write pretty fast. I can put out a book in like 3 months. And although, like my newest book, which I happen to have right here, Haunted Posey County, that one took me a little bit longer because it's other people's stories,
Okay.
so it takes a little time to do research and getting the history right. But I don't know. It's what I do. It's what I enjoy doing. So
And your team, that you work with, where you guys operate mainly? What area?
I'm pretty much in New Harmony, Indiana. And as far as being a team, we just kind of get together and do things. I do get requests for walkthroughs on homes,
Hmm.
and I will generally just do that myself or with another medium, and we'll just walk through and do a psychic sweep instead of using equipment. But we do host public events here where we have all the equipment, we have all the fun stuff, all the toys, and my friend Donna has 8 suitcases full of paranormal gear she's bringing tomorrow. So me, I just pretty much have a camera bag over my shoulder. I have
Right.
some stuff, but I don't even need it. Being a medium, I can walk in and feel what's going on. I do like my spirit box just so I can get some kind of validation, but I don't even need it. I just walk through and go, "Oh wow, check that out." There's a young man over in this corner, and the more I tune into them, the more information I pull. But not everybody has that skill set, and the equipment definitely brings a little bit more of a scientific approach to it. So it's a little
Hmm.
bit more, it's touchable for them if they don't have the ability to intuit it.
Hmm. Hmm. So when you go on these cases, when you do walkthroughs like that, and I've had mediums tell me this before on location, say there's multiple ghosts in an area, do certain ones want to talk to you or certain ones don't?
Oh, definitely. There'll be some that'll retreat back into the corner, and I'll start to pull information about them, but not necessarily. I can't really communicate back and forth with them. I can get, I'm clairaudient, so that's my gateway. So I'll hear a tone similar to ear ringing, and I have one here right now buzzing my ear. So, um, but if I pay attention to it and I tune into it, then I start getting more information. And I find that I'm really good at automatic writing. So if I pick up a pencil and paper and I just start writing, information comes to me, and I'll start off with it's a female, and I see her as dark haired, tall, slender. And then I'll see her clothing, it's like 1800s period. And then I'll start getting details about her personality, and then just little things, and what she wants, and basic stuff like that. But as far as communicating back and forth, I'm not that good, which I'm kind of glad I'm not that good, because I feel like I'm already a ghost magnet. If I were able to communicate back and forth, I'd never have a moment of peace.
Absolutely. Tell me more about automatic writing. I find that fascinating. I've never been around somebody that does that. So how does that work exactly?
It's basically, I don't know. For me, I just start writing, and as things come to me, I write them down. And so I don't know. I think most people who do automatic writing just start writing, and they aren't even aware of what they're writing. Me, I just it's a way for me to capture the thoughts that are coming into my head. I don't know, and I feel like I'm always a little bit better at intuiting what's going on when I'm writing on pen, and when I'm writing it down instead of just saying it aloud. So I don't know. It's just a tool. It's just my method. So
Okay. Do you hear voices, or is it thoughts? Or like you say, thoughts come into your head, or do the voices tell you to write it, or how's that work?
I don't necessarily hear. Sometimes I'll hear their voices, but most of the time it's just information, just words that'll kind of come into my mind, and I'll write them down, like sad, or looking for something, or I just did a walkthrough earlier in the week, and it came to me, somebody in this house lost a child. And so after I did my walkthrough and I had everything written down, I went and talked to the homeowner, and she said absolutely the owner's not before me, but before them, lost a child in this house. So it's just I don't know who's telling me. I just get that information. It comes to me, and I write it down.
Right. Now, as an intuitive on investigation, do you work together with with the other people on the investigation to try and clarify information, or make it more verified? Like, for instance, I know I've worked with psychics where I'm using dowsing rods and we're using EVP at the same time, and then I'm working with the psychic. It's a female from maybe this era, and so we start asking questions and we start getting more info.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't, when we're on, like tomorrow when we go to the asylum, I probably won't be intuiting too much. I can't avoid hearing the ear ringing. So, and it always is different tones. Like I'll know it's male or female. I know if it's good or bad. So it kind of helps me identify which rooms we might want to investigate, but I don't always open up and pull in information. One reason is because I'm a ghost magnet, and the more I pay attention to them, the more they pay attention to me, and I don't want anything coming home with me. So, but when I do the walkthroughs of homes, I feel more comfortable with those, because I feel like whatever's there is probably a homeowner. It's like 90% of the time it's somebody that lived at that house, and I don't feel like they're going to probably follow me, because they've been, stuck there and happy where they are for a very long time. So they have no need to come with me.
I can understand that. Yeah, like with commercial places like that, because you really don't know what type of personality they have, and that's what's kind of scary about it. About as far as them coming home with you. Even cemeteries, when you walk through cemeteries, it's kind of unnerving because you don't know who or what's going to follow you. If who or what is going to follow you. Um, Tell me about one of your most interesting investigations so far that you got into here.
Most interesting investigations. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. We just did the Rhodes Hotel in Atlanta, Indiana, a couple weeks ago, and it's a really neat old hotel. It's not really a hotel anymore, but it used to be. We rented the whole building, and we kept getting information through the night. We kept getting things on a spirit box. When we use a portal, we got that, and but we do the Estes method a lot. You know, where one team member's hooked up to the spirit box. And while I was filming her, the wall behind her, it almost looked like something was morphing out of the wall. And I thought that was kind of neat. I like it when we catch things on video because it doesn't happen very often.
Right.
You know, and there's sometimes it could be explanations. It could be low light situations and the camera's trying to focus and things like that. But it was really cool to watch it. It was like, is that, you know, you'd see a face and then, you know, it's like, am I, you know, am I seeing what I want to see, you know, or is that something accurate? I mean, I've had so many investigations. I've done more than 300 of them, so it's hard to remember back. I think probably one of the scariest ones I ever had was up in upstate New York, Rolling Hills Asylum in, I think is it East Bethany? I always forget which direction, but New York. But it was an old poor farm and it turned into asylum. And it's, I mean, there's some heavy stuff there. She says there's really nothing negative, and I think it's just misunderstood energy. Sometimes, you know, if there were people there with mental issues and they died in that state, sometimes they don't completely understand what we're doing. And I was just coming into my abilities. Like, I have always been this way, but I really ran from it for a long time. And when I opened those floodgates and really decided to start trying to, you know, experience my clairaudience fully, I learned that if I listened to a tone I would hear, I could pull it in. And we were at the end of the night. Everybody else had left. It was just me, my friend Sandy, and the owner Sharon. And we were there walking around, and she was showing us some of her favorite spots in the asylum. And I started hearing a tone, so I started pulling it in. And all of a sudden I looked up and I saw this gray snake-like thing slithering big, like it was like, you know, big around, slithering towards me. And then it shot right through my head. And when it shot through my head, I felt like I took a big breath of icy cold air, like my body was full of coldness. And then it shot out the back of me. And that terrified me because I thought, what if it gets stuck inside of me? You know?
Wow. Yeah.
And I had the same thing happen to me in my own home a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't pulling any energy in. I got up in the middle of the night. I knew I had something in my house. And I got up and walked into the bathroom and saw a dark shadow in the corner of the bathroom, and it rushed me. And it went right through me. But it paused for a minute, so I could see nothing but black. And then it went out the back of me. And that, you know, I literally flinched like something was flying at me. And that scared me quite a bit too. So yeah, you know, sometimes it's fun, all fun and games, and then other times something jumps you and it's not so much fun.
Going along that line, what type of protection things do you use going in?
Um, I've used everything. I've actually written 2 books on paranormal protection, so I know what to do. I used to wear St. Benedict's medal, which I'll probably put that on for tomorrow night just for an extra layer. But, you know, I've used protection stones. I've used prayer. I really now use my spirit guides for the most part. Like, I'll ask them, and my ancestors ask them to surround me with protection and keep me safe. But if something wants to follow me, it doesn't matter what I do. There's something about my energy that they really, really like. And it will follow me. I don't even have to leave my house to get an attachment. Sometimes they find me, I feel like off the astral plane, and they just zip in. So I always have something here. And so it doesn't really wig me out that somebody's always watching me, you know, no matter what I do, their eyes on me, but I've gotten used to it. This has been going on for, you know, 15, 20 years, or really all my life for that part. So it's just a weird way to live, but I've gotten used to it. I mean, what else do you do? I can't, you know, I've had my house warded. I've had religious metals buried at all four corners. I've had sea salt and holy water, on my windows and doors and the whole nine yard. And it doesn't matter. They just zip right through like it's tissue paper. So I'm still, I don't claim to be an expert on anything. I've had a lot of experiences. I've written a lot of books about my experiences, but as for, the nitty gritty, none of us really know, until
That's
we die.
true. We have that in common because that's what it's like here too.
Oh,
as long
really?
as I can remember, there's stuff here, and I'm always exhausted. I mean, you can only do so much. I've done I've done the whole salt thing in all the corners and by the windows and all that, but there's still stuff. There's something here all the time. And it does get people don't realize how when you take a psychic hit, how exhausting it is.
It really is. It really is. And after I do an investigation, or even after I do a ghost walk, I'm down for the count for a good day afterwards. This investigation, I've already cleared my schedule for the rest of the week because I know that it's going to take me more than a day to recover. And I'm okay with that. It's worth it. It'll be a lot of fun. So, but yeah, and it doesn't matter. Hydrate, try to stay hydrated. But the psychic energy that they pull from you is I do grounding and shielding as well, and I feel like sometimes my bubble's stronger than other times, but they still pull energy from me. They still drain me by the end of the night.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, you and I must have similar energy because I've been told when I go to cemeteries and stuff, there's like a conga line of ghosts behind me.
Yeah,
they just
probably.
And it's like you say, no matter how much, I mean, I wear St. Benedict's medal and the whole thing, and no matter how much you protect yourself, there's going to be always one that gets through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's if there's a will, there's a way, and they push through it. I did a house walkthrough 2 days ago for someone that lives in the same town with me, and they have a 6-year-old daughter, and the mother is very intuitive. I keep trying to get her to go on house walkthroughs with me, but I think she's nervous about it because she's afraid she's going to bring something home to her family. But they had something in their house that was really dark, and she was worried about it. She said they kept having nightmares every night, like her horrible nightmares that something's chasing. The little girl started having them. Something was trying to get her, trying to climb in her bed with her, and then the parents would come and lay in bed with her to try to comfort her, and they would have the same nightmares. And so they asked me if I'd come over and walk in, and I walked around the house and didn't feel a thing really. I mean, they do have a couple resident ghosts. I've already been in their house and checked it out for that, and I've identified. I think there's like 3 ghosts that live there, and they don't really let them know. They don't act up or anything. They're just there. But I walked into the little girl's bedroom, and it was like, how when you walk into an area with a really negative ghost, it's heavy. And you just immediately your fight or flight instincts kick in, and you feel threatened. And it was, and it hasn't happened a lot with me because I've not run into any quite that negative. This one was really heavy, really negative. And I suspected that the daughter probably inherited her mother's abilities. So I pulled her into the room and I said, what are you feeling? And she said the bad, he's here, the bad man's here. And I said, do you know how to shield? I said, can you make a bubble around yourself? So I put her under the light in the middle of the room. And I said, close your eyes and see that light through your eyelids and pull it down around you, make a big bubble and make it really strong. That bubble protects you. Nothing can get into it. And she opened her eyes and smiled. And she said, I'm going to push it out over the whole house. And just like that, boom, she bumped that ghost out of that room. Like it went from being really heavy to being just like the rest of the house. And I was like very envious very quickly of a 6-year-old. I'm like, that's just incredible. The power that she had. And I'm sure children, they're not told, at that age, they're intuitive and they're not told otherwise. And her abilities were insane. I was like, so before I left, I said, will you build a bubble around me too, so I don't walk outside and pick up your nasty ghost on the sidewalk? And she did, and I was fine. So I think, it's unfortunate that some of us are built with the attraction to ghosts, that that they're so attracted to us, but we're not always given that higher RPM of energy to push them away. Because I've worked with a ton of mentors, and they just say, well, tell them they're not allowed to follow you. And I'm like, big eye roll, because what, you think I didn't think of that? You think I didn't tell them to get out of my house? And it doesn't matter. They laugh because I don't have anything to put behind it. And other people, like this 6-year-old, just made her bubble and poop, it was gone. And I'm like, so I could never do that. I've tried, believe me, I've tried, but I just don't have that same energy level that she does. So I was very impressed.
Absolutely. I've worked with a lot of kids, like they call them psychic kids, like on TV. I work with a lot of kids, and they do have a lot of power. These, a lot of these kids. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
But I
Yeah,
agree with you.
definitely.
I mean, I could have the best protection up and be doing a post after an investigation with a client, and all of a sudden my stomach flips
Yeah.
because someone so decide to walk through me, and then I know, well, I'll be down for 2 days. But no matter how much protection you put up, sometimes it just doesn't help.
Yep. But one good side effect is all these ghost stories give me a lot of things to write about. So I've written, a lot of my books are, a lot of my original books were my own experiences. I had my very first, well, the first book I wrote about the paranormal was Soul Collector. I picked up an attachment that was a soul collector, and I didn't have a good backup plan. That was in my early days. And I kind of wrote it as a warning for other people who are sensitive or intuitive. Before you go out there and put yourself in these creepy, crazy places, have a backup plan. What are you going to do if something follows you home? And have that down pat. Like, have a good psychic medium that is able to remove ghosts, or like I have a shaman who now removes things for me remotely. If you don't have that, you're kind of screwed if you come home. And that's what happened to me with Soul Collector. It just turned out he was like the nastiest. And as a medium, that they don't have to move the furniture to get your attention. All they have to do is get close to you and send you intimidating thoughts, and then make a few random weird things happen, like all of a sudden make creepy music start playing on your phone when your phone's turned off, or make your cat stare in the corner and arch up and take off running out of the room. And when you're already feeling that it's there, it's just that little extra that they give you. And it's hard to explain to other people that aren't feeling it. They're like, well, what happened? Did you have entities, standing in front of you? Did you see them? Did they, trash the room? And I'm like, they don't have to do that. When you're a medium, they can get to you just by being there. It's all they have to do.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that. And in all your investigations, how many? I mean, we always preach. It used to be a standard preach that, as far as because I want to clear some stuff, like these demon cases. How many demon cases have you really come across in like 300 investigations versus a ghost that's trying to act angry and like a demon? Because
most of them are human. I have actually had, I think, maybe 3 or 4 demonic encounters, and I always know they're elusive. I don't hear them. I don't hear the clairaudience. They don't make a sound, but I get this almost oily, heavy, repulsive feeling. Like, I can't explain it. That's just how I feel. Like, I just know something's there, and that again, that fight or flight kicks in. And that's above my pay grade. I don't deal with demons, so I just back out. I'll leave. I'll call my shaman friend and say, hey, there's a demon here. We actually had, I used to teach Paranormal 101 classes, and I think this is in one of my books. I think it might be in Ghost Magnet. We invited, I taught Paranormal 101 classes in the town of Gardner, Massachusetts. I lived in Massachusetts for 30 years. And collected a lot of really cool people. A lot of them were just coming into their abilities, and when in reality they were full-blown psychic mediums. They just had never tested it or worked with validation, or really gone that extra mile, and said they were blossoming. They were so great. And one night this guy shows up, and he had a haunted doll. And I'm not going to give his name or the name of his doll because I feel like he's gotten enough publicity. But he was traveling the country with this doll and, getting a lot of attention from it. And he'd been offered a lot of options about people removing the attachment from the doll. And he just kept saying, no, I want to hear the whole story before I do it. I did think he liked the attention, but he brought the doll and set it in a chair. And we were all like, at one point, we could all feel, it was almost like an octopus with tendrils coming down. Like we could all feel him, like it reach out and touch your energy. And we were just all completely wigged out. Nothing happened. The doll never moved or anything, but all of us in the group were feeling it. And so I stepped away from the class and went and called my shaman friend in Virginia. Usually I message him and wait for him to call me back, or, I called him. He was a little shocked to hear from me. I'm like, you got to help us. This doll there's something really bad attached to this doll. And he sent his guides, or he's astral projects too. So he's able to see things. And he said, yeah, it's really bad. He said, it's a demon. It said, it's not a high level demon. And the guy was saying it had a demon attached to it, which we were all rolling our eyes. It's like, why would a demon be attached to a doll? They don't usually attach to dolls. But there was definitely something demonic going on in that room. And he later had some experiences where when he got back to his hotel room, he slipped and fell, and I don't know, everybody in the class started having weird things happen to them on the way home from class. One person's car wouldn't start. Somebody else's house was broken into. Somebody else slipped and fell and really hurt themselves. It was like one after the other. So, Michael, the shaman, kept us all safe, but, he couldn't do anything to remove that demon without permission. So, that was crazy. It was just, it's like, but other experiences, you'll go in somewhere, and like Ashmore Estates, we investigated that in Indiana. And I think that one was on Ghost Adventures, and Zach had declared it, full of demons. And, we never encountered anything negative there. There's a man that stays in the boiler room, and he was, I believe he was autistic. And he was protective over that room. And if he was a little grumpy, I don't blame him, because how many people come down there and ask him what his favorite color is, or, why he's still there, or, does he take care of the boiler room? Just all the same questions over and over again. His energy was a little testy, but, as far as being a demon, no, I've not run into nearly as many as people on the TV shows would like you to think. And I kind of see why they did it, because people stopped being afraid of ghosts. So they had to up the ante and go to demons. It's like, ooh, maybe they'll be afraid of demons. So I don't know what they're going to, I guess next, maybe aliens,
Maybe.
I
Yeah.
know.
Well, the reason why I asked the question initially too was because I've noticed when we have gotten cases, because of the TV shows, people think they've got a demon in their house right away. But the majority, like you say, the majority of the time, it's not a demon. It's a ghost that's lashing out. And sometimes the ghost wants you to think it's a demon, and it's an actual angry. It's all it is an angry ghost. And sometimes it's hard to convince people when you go out that no, you don't have a demon here. If it was a demon, it would be doing this, this, and this, and this, and this.
Yeah, my closest. When I was going through the Soul Collector, it was it was explained to me that it was a human entity that was stalking me, but that he had been possessed by a demon before he died. So there was like some kind of tie. I don't know how much of that I believe, but he was getting to me. Like I was going through the stages of possession, he was fully starting to separate me from people and make me forget things. Like I'd go through time lapses where I would be just, I'd lose hours. And I started not wanting to see people. Like I just become very isolated, and, he was getting me where he wanted me. And, I was told he wanted me dead so he could collect my soul. So, but as far as that was one of the most negative, terrible things I've gone through. And he was not, I really don't think he was demonic. It doesn't feel like he was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I know we get it. We get it too. People are, especially around here, we're kind of in the Bible Belt, and a lot of people think there's nothing but angels or demons. There's nothing in between, you know. But I think, you know, we're coming across so many just human souls that are still in the house that they loved, you know, and they don't want to go anywhere. They're happy where they are, and they don't need. They really don't need or want our help. All they need us to do is tell the homeowner, don't worry about it, you know. I leave them be. I mean, they were there first, and I tell the people, talk to them, you know, if you're going to change the wallpaper or rip down a wall, make sure you tell them, you know, because that's when, you know, usually the activity bumps up, is when you start doing some kind of home renovation, and you know, grandma's mad that you're, you know, tearing down her favorite wallpaper, you know.
Right.
So and just to tell them, look, I know you're here, you don't need to, you know, do anything to scare us. And you know, a lot of times that helps. And you know, if they continue to act up, then yes, I mean, you know, we can move them along. I mean, I talk to them a lot of times. It's like counseling. You know, I'll just go in and say, look, you know, there's better places for you to be than sitting here eavesdropping and spying on current homeowners. You know, while that might be interesting, you know, there's a whole different universe for you to go to, you know, dimension or whatever you want to call it. You know, you can move on over and have different experiences that are more positive and be with your family members and stuff. And, you know, I can cross them over if they want to go. I can't make them go if they don't want to go. So,
Right. I always give the client a choice too when I'm out there. You know, if it is if it is Uncle Bob or somebody like that, hey, you know, they're not, like you say, they're not hurting anything. They're not bothering you really. You know, it's up to you. Do you want them here, or we can try to make them go, but we can't force them to go either. But it's up to you. You know.
yeah, I don't even really give them a choice, because I don't have the capabilities to make them go.
Right.
You know, I'd have to reach out to my shaman, and but you know, and I just kind of feel like unless it's negative, unless it's doing things that are scary, there's no reason for it to go away. Just tell it to stop doing that. You know, it's there, because a lot of times they just want you to know they're there. You know,
Right.
once you know, it's like, okay, look, I know you're here. Like the one I went to earlier in the week. Um, I sometimes I'll get a mind picture of them, and I
Mhm.
started seeing him before I even left home, and he reminded me of Sam Elliott. Like he had that big gray mustache, and when I got to the house and I started walking through, I was definitely picking up on him. But as I got there, the image became a little less handsome. You know, he wasn't quite as, you know, good looking as Sam Elliott was in his day. Um, and the woman said, "Well, we know he's here because we've seen him." And like I go in blind, I don't want to hear anything, you know, because it'll definitely impact what I feel when I go in. So at the end, she told me that she's seen him, although she saw him with brown hair, so she probably saw him at a younger period. But as I left, she told her she had a couple friends over. And as I left, she goes, "Well, I'm going to go to bed with Sam Elliott now. I'll see you later." So, you know, she was cool with having the ghost there. It didn't bother her. She just wanted more clarification, you know.
When somebody calls you to for help, what's the procedure you guys use?
Um, you know, it depends on what it is. If it's just, I just want to know if there's something in my house, something, you know, I've been feeling stuff. Um, then I will just set up time with them, and I'll go and walk through either by myself or, you know, bring another medium with me. Sometimes it's nice to, we won't talk though. We write down, we both write. That way we're not impacting each other's, or, you know, feelings, what we're picking up on. Um, and then once we're finished, we compare notes, and then we go. This last time I did it by myself, so I didn't have anybody to compare notes with. But and then go take our findings to the homeowner and just say, "Here's what we felt," and then now tell us what, you know, what you've been experiencing, and it usually lines up. You know, I'm pretty confident in my abilities, so I'm not too worried about being incorrect. But there are times when they do try to fool you, like you said, like the, you know, negative entity pretending to be a little girl. But I feel like I see through that, like, because when I'll see a little girl and then it flips, an older man, or it gets darker. Like, I don't know, it's hard for them to fool me. I feel like I don't see it, so it's hard to explain.
You wrote a book about a whole city that was haunted, or a whole town.
Yeah,
Tell
the
me
one I
about
live
that.
in.
Yeah, tell me about
Yeah,
that.
that's New Harmony. That's southern, very southern tip of Indiana. Indiana's shaped like a boot. We're at the very, pretty much at the very tip of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved here 6 years ago. I grew up in the area, but I had never lived in New Harmony. I was aware of it, but I lived in Massachusetts for 30 years. And after my kids grew up and left the nest, I felt the need to come back to Indiana to spend time with my parents while I still had parents. And I was very pulled to New Harmony. Like, couldn't explain it. They were house hunting for me everywhere. They wanted to go everywhere. I was adamant it had to be New Harmony or I wasn't coming. And I got here and got settled in, and I was trying to be quiet about what I did because it's a little southern Indiana town. I didn't want them to all think I was a weirdo. I just kind of wanted a place to live and heal, and kind of almost a retirement home. And got here and started walking around and going, holy cow, every building has a ghost in it. It was unbelievable to me. I mean, I've been to a lot of really haunted towns like Salem or, anything in Massachusetts, really. And this was so intense. And so then I started asking people, and that's when I got all the stories. Oh, yeah, there were a lot of stories that have been passed down. The town has a really unique history. It's the site of two former utopian societies. So the first one happened in 1814. A German Lutheran came here, escaping religious persecution, brought 800 of his followers over, and they were here for 10 years. And then they sold the town to a man whose idea of utopia focused on science and education. And, it just has so much history here. So many people. It's a town that's very beloved. Like, have you ever noticed that a lot of really beautiful old Victorians or old homes, beautiful stately old homes, are haunted? And it's because the people love that home so much they don't want to leave it. And I feel like this town is almost like that, like one big stately Victorian. People love this town. It has a different feel to it. I feel like it could be on ley lines. The energy here is different. You walk around, you feel safe. You feel like you're back in time. Everything's a slower pace, and you don't care. It's just a weird feeling. And it's a tourist town, so we get a lot of tourists coming in, and they all feel that too. They're like, "Wow, this town's so great. I feel so relaxed when I'm here." It's like, people have vivid dreams a lot when they're here, and I don't know, it's just a weird vibe, but. I ended up writing the book Haunted New Harmony after collecting all these stories. And then I ended up starting up a ghost walk business called Haunted New Harmony Ghost Walks based on my books. So, we just walk around to all these. I mean, it's so condensed with the haunting that I now have 2 ghost walks, separate areas of town.
Nice.
That we can do. The hauntings are just side by side, and we have stories and witnesses, and it's pretty wild, but nothing really that negative. A couple of them are a little on the negative side, but not bad. It's mostly just people that didn't want to leave, just like we talked about.
That's interesting because I know there's a couple places up in the Gold Country that we investigate. Well, when we're investigating, we investigate frequently because we've run into that too. But it's mostly gold miners and stuff because there's all gold mines up there, so obviously they're still there trying
Oh,
to get their
wow.
claim or
Oh,
whatever.
gosh. I'd love to investigate something like that. That sounds really cool.
It's pretty fun. I mean, there's even stories in hotels of the one hotel where the guy used to keep his dynamite under the bed when he slept
Wow.
for his claim. He never blew up though. That's the thing. He never blew up, but he'd store his dynamite under that bed. And
Man.
so it's interesting. So when you stay in that room, he doesn't like women's toiletries or anything either because he's Mr. Man. So if you put your toiletries up on the dresser, he'll always either knock them off or move them around. The next morning you get up, your toiletries are somewhere else.
Oh, that's funny. That's really great.
Room, right?
Yeah.
But it just fascinates me, living in a haunted town because it's unavoidable to run into these ghosts. Like you say, a lot of them are just glad to be there. They love the town, but um, going through something like that, are there any that particularly stand out in your town?
Any of them that stand out, is that what you said? Or
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, there's some well-known, definitely some well-known ghosts. It's like we've finally got permission to investigate Murphy Auditorium, which is a huge old auditorium built in 1913. It's actually one of the newer buildings as far as being an old building, but there's been a story going around for generations about a handyman, maintenance man named Gus that supposedly haunts the basement. And people will hear footsteps on the stairs going to the basement a lot. And he has shown himself in the creepiest of places, the ladies' dressing room. So these poor women that are in the play are going in to change, and they open the door, turn the light on, and there's a hand standing there, with the maintenance with his uniform on, and then he disappears. So, and I don't know if he's really there or if it's just, lore that's been passed down. But we finally got permission to go in there and investigate. We're doing 2 in public investigations in October. So I'll be able to have more information. We're definitely going to be seeing if we can get Gus to talk to. But, we were there, we did a little pre-investigation because there's nothing worse than doing a public hunt and having nothing happen, and you have all these people staring at you like, what are you trying to prove here? There's no ghost, Right. So we went in just to make sure that they were going to talk to us, and we were using a portal which hooks into a spirit box. It just eliminates some of the choppiness. And the guy in charge of the building was on the stage walking around, kind of pacing back and forth, like he's kind of done with us, like, he was ready to leave. And it had been a long day, so I don't blame. We're up all the way at the top of the seating, up near the control booth, and we had the portal going up there. And we were asking some questions. We were getting some answers, but not all of them were clear. Like sometimes you just get a warble random and you're not sure what it says. But somebody said, "Who's on the stage right now?" And clear as day, it said Paul. And that is the name of the guy that was on the stage. And he stopped and he turned and looked. And I put that EVP up on my, it's on my SoundCloud. So if anybody ever wants to hear any of my EVPs, I have 400 or 500 of them up on SoundCloud. And it's just my name, Joni Mayhan. Link is on my website, jonimayhan.com. So, but, he could not believe that he was, I think he believed, he never really said one way or the other. He was kind of quiet about it. But after that experience, he definitely was a believer. So
that is really
love
cool,
it when that stuff happens. And I think they do it on purpose sometimes. Like, we're going to prove to him, that he's actually wrong, that we are here, and they did it.
What do you think it's like being a ghost? Because I always think let's think about it this way: the movies that are out about ghosts, mingling with people. After looking at these movies and doing this for as long as I have, I think that like the movie The Others is about as close as it gets.
Yes, I was just thinking about that's one of my favorite ghost movies of all times. Like, and I remember when I watched it, we were living in a haunted house, and it made you think for a minute, like, am I the ghost? Am I really dead? I think that it varies. I think some of them are very aware of us, and I think others are just living their existence and they don't realize we're here. Maybe they catch glimpses of us on occasion. I feel like it's like they're almost in a separate dimension from us, but sometimes they get so close they can see us, or that we bump together, or maybe sometimes they pop through. I mean, I can tell you, the one that's here right now is standing off to the side over here, and it's a female. And she's aware of me. She's listening to me. She came in closer as I started talking on this podcast. So I feel like she's listening. Maybe she's learning. Like, she's like, oh, we should probably go. We're not going to get anything from this one. So what do you think? You think it's like the others?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the best movies I've seen. As far as getting that across, and the confusion that the ghosts have, and the confusion that we have with it. Between the two. That's I've seen a lot of those because I'm real fascinated when they do come. And I look at them. I have one in here behind the curtain back here that hangs out in my bathroom. She's always standing there staring out at me.
We should
Whatever
introduce
floats
our
your boat.
ghosts.
Whatever floats your boat. You want to hang out in my bathroom? I'm good. Just don't leave the bathroom. But yeah, it's kind of nice having this
Yeah.
thing up because she can't like bore through it. Well, she probably can. I just don't know it. um, when people ask you about ghosts in general, what answer do you give them? I mean, because you get clients that say, "Well, what are they exactly?"
I believe they're human souls. I believe at the time, my feeling is at the time of death, most people cross right over without any option, but some people balk and
Hmm.
their body's dead, but their soul stays around. And, it could be because they want to stay and watch over family members, or maybe they had a sudden death, or I believe suicide victims. I believe they stay earthbound because of guilt. And, other people, maybe they've done something bad and they're afraid of, repercussions. I don't know, just a number of reasons. But I believe most of them are just the soul. They're just energy. They talk about energy can't die. It just transfers into a different form, and I feel like they just stick around. I can imagine how frustrating that would be. So I can appreciate the heightened emotions that they feel because they can see us, but they can't communicate with us.
Hmm.
And they see somebody like you and I, and they latch onto us because they're like, oh my gosh, that one knows we're here, where they've
Yeah.
passed, 200 other people that just walk right by them. So, I think it would be very frustrating.
The other thing I find sad, and this happened in a hotel up here in the Gold Country, there were two children that run around this hotel, and they're looking for their mother. And then
That
if
is
you go
sad.
in the kitchen, the mother is in the hotel, and she's looking for the children. They both, both sets of people ended up on two different planes.
And they can't find each other.
And they can't find each other.
That is really sad.
It is really
That's
sad.
really
Have you
sad.
run, have you run into stuff like that?
Yeah, we have. Actually, in Haunted Posey County, I have a story about a town called Griffin, and they got hit by a massive F5 tornado in 1925, and it just flattened the town, and 75 people were killed. And they talk about the town was kind of rebuilt. It's tiny compared to what it used to be,
Hmm.
but people in town talk about sometimes they'll hear a woman crying, wailing, and other times they'll hear a baby crying, and they feel like a woman lost her baby in the tornado and then she died. She's looking for her baby, and the baby's looking for the mom. So yeah, and it could be residual too. I don't know. I haven't experienced it personally. I've just heard the stories, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's very sad. And those are the ones I really want to get involved in because I want to help them.
Hmm.
um and I'm a helper in that aspect, but I'm also a little bit sometimes cautious because I don't want to end up bringing something pretending to be a baby crying. So
Right.
it's funny, I just attended a festival. I do for whatever reason, September's festival season, and I'll set up a booth with my books and promote my ghost walks, and people come up and tell me their ghost stories. And I had this young woman come up and tell me about this cemetery, and as she was describing it, there's a bunch of military graves that are all in a circle facing each other. And I remembered that. And I thought that was really odd. And she said, well, one of the stories is that people will hear a baby crying in the woods. And if they go look for it, they never come out again. And I was like, oh my God. Yes, I was there like 4 years ago with a friend, and I just kept getting a weird feeling there. And we walked in this blue sky, beautiful day. As soon as we got in the middle of the cemetery, these dark clouds moved in, and then this circle of like crows started flying around in a circle above us.
Hmm.
And then it started pouring rain. And right before it started pouring rain, though, I heard it. I'm a huge animal lover, and
Hmm.
a cat crying in the woods would be very compelling for me to go find it. And I started to walk to the woods to find it, and then it just started releasing buckets of rain. And so we ran to the car. My friend encouraged me to leave the cat and run to the car. And so now I hear this story about this baby crying in the woods. I'm like, oh my gosh, what would have happened to me if I would have gone into the woods after this cat that probably didn't exist? So we're definitely going back to that cemetery now because hearing the story, it's very, but I won't be going in the woods after the cat or the baby.
But you know what the other frightening thought about that is, though, is whatever that was, if that in fact is whatever is making people disappear, it got into your head.
It knew what I would go for. Exactly.
It knew what you would go for.
Yeah. Like, I think I would have, if I heard a baby, I would have been on the phone to 911 before I even went into the woods, right? Because I would have thought there's no way there's a baby crying. But a cat, they get dumped around here all the time. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, that poor kitty, And I did actually walk to the edge of the woods and was looking, and I didn't see anything. So I was fairly satisfied there really wasn't a cat there, because I probably wouldn't have left until I found the cat, even if it was pouring down rain. But and the sound stopped. But yeah, it knew what triggered me, what I would go for.
That's what's frightening about it, though.
And that's why I'm going back to check it out now. No.
Yeah. Because
with other people that will keep me from going into the woods.
Right. That's what the trigger for me would be, though, is either a little cat or a little dog, something like that, to pull me into the woods. Because I'm one of those people. I see the stray dog, I'm trying to get it so I can get it back to its owner or whatever,
Yeah, same.
It's stuff like that. Yeah, I've had my name called from across the airfield when no one was there. A haunted airfield, And it's just creepy because it was a man's voice. I can definitely hear it, but you look around and no one's out there. You're just like,
and you don't have a short name either, for it to call your name out.
Yeah, and you could clearly hear it. And I had another investigator with me that heard it too. And we just looked at each other and we went, "Wow." Standing.
I've had mine called out over the spirit box many times. Like, I'll say, "Do you know who I am?" And they'll say, "Joni." But we had an investigation here in town in New Harmony at the old school gymnasium. And I was talking about that tornado that killed all those people. Well, they brought the victims here to New Harmony, which is only 6 miles away. And they put the deceased people in the basement to become a temporary morgue. So we were down there investigating with a group of people. And one guy had, he had some kind of program hooked up to the internet. And I can't think about what it was, but it's very similar to the portal. And I had my recorder sitting there, and I went to check the other group. So I walked out of the room away from the group to go check the other group that was also in the basement. And while I was gone, I didn't hear this till later, and I got home and reviewed my audio. But across the portal, it said, "We want to talk to Joni Mayhan," like first and last name. I'm like, that was a first. And I actually have that clipped. It's on my SoundCloud, but clear as day. Like, there was no doubt what that said. And it was warbly, so it wasn't another person in the room saying it. But that was wild. So, yeah.
The portal's crazy. The portal's crazy. I mean, I've used it, and we've picked up German voices on the portal.
Oh,
I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, when you're on investigation and you pick up a foreign voice, how can you deny that? So I go down and I'm kind of perplexed talking to another investigator, and a client comes out and says, "Oh, my great-grandfather was German."
Mm-hmm.
How can you deny that?
Yeah, or when you get swear words that are not allowed by the FCC on the radio. So, I've gotten so many just really intelligent responses. Like, we were at another place. I think this was in Maine. And it was full of ghosts. It was an old seminary building, and it was full of ghosts. And as we turned on the spirit box, all these voices were coming through at once, and it was like on top of each other. And I said, "All right, you guys, you need to talk one at a time." And a male voice came. It got really quiet. A male voice came through, and he said, "We are not going to behave." And I'm like, well, that's good, And it was so clear that we heard it at the time. Like, a lot of times with spirit box, you think you heard something, but you're not clear until you get home and you clip it with headphones on and, slow it down or speed it up or whatever you need to do. This was clear right off the bat. We were like, we all laughed when we heard it. We're like, okay.
That is cool. The other thing I always find kind of cool and unnerving at the same time is when you get to the part of the investigation at night where you're tired and everything's funny. You start cracking jokes and you're talking. I got the EVP recorder going, and there's two ghosts having a conversation below us. And and you can hear this guy go, "I'm really hot," and the old guy goes, "Yeah, and I don't know why." And you're like, "Well, that's not my people, okay? I don't know who this is and what they're talking about, but somebody's hot. They don't know why." Turned out later there was a fever that ran through this town.
Oh, wow.
That we found out. So maybe they were talking about the fever. But it was just funny because it was two distinct male voices. I mean, really clear Class A EVPs. And this is what they were saying. I'm hot. I don't know why. So it's like they're having their own, like you say, they might be stuck somewhere and they're still living their life. So they're having their own independent conversations below what you're having. Because they don't know.
We've had that. Yeah, we've had that. I remember one investigation we went to. It was a lot of my students. This is in Massachusetts. It was the Houghton Mansion in North Adams, Massachusetts, which is now no longer open for people to investigate. But it was on Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. But we were in one of the main people there's bedroom. I can't remember who it was. They all kind of blend together. But as mediums, we were picking up on a man and a woman there. And then all of a sudden, the man disappeared. Like we couldn't feel him anymore. And the voices were coming through. He told her across the spirit box, he said, "You need to cloak yourself. They can see you." Or, and then all of a sudden she went away too. And it was like, okay, we just learned something. How cool is that they can cloak themselves away from us if they're a high level, and they've learned a thing or two over time. And he was telling her, and we caught it on audio. So it was like, wow, okay, that was cool.
That is really cool. Joni, this hour went by so fast.
Yes, it did. It did. It was.
I want to thank you for talking with you. I really enjoyed it. It was a great interview. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And we'd love to have you back on to talk about the place you're going or the other places that you go.
Oh yeah. There's tunnels and everything. Yeah, I'll have a lot of stories to tell about that one. So, you invite me back, I'll be here.
Absolutely. All right. How can people find you?
They can find me on my website, JoniMayhan.com. If you can't remember how to spell my name, just look up hauntednewharmony.com and it'll come up the same thing. So all my books are on Amazon, and I'm hoping to have another one out by the end of the year. So,
okay, fantastic. All right, well, you have a good evening, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. You have a good evening too.
And we'll catch you next time because I'm dying to hear about this place you're going tomorrow, man. Okay. All right. Have
Sounds
a good
good.
one.
All right. Thanks.
Bye. Okay, guys, that was Joni Mayhan. Man, she's got some stories to tell. I told you she did. Told you she had some stories to tell. Anyway, tomorrow we're shifting gears. Catherine Ramsland's gonna come back on. We're gonna try and do this, see how the video works. If not, we're gonna do it via phone tomorrow if the video doesn't work. So hopefully the video works, But yeah, she's gonna be with us tomorrow talking about cemetery, stories and embalming stories and all that stuff. So we're gonna have a nice chat with her about that. Again, if you like the show, if you're on Facebook, do hit that follow button. If you like the show and you're watching from Twitter, hit that follow button. And of course, if you're over at YouTube, please hit that little ghost down in the bottom right-hand corner with the magnifying glass and the Sherlock Holmes hat on, because that is our mascot. That'll take you over to our YouTube site. You can also check us out at CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com. The paranormal group itself is at CaliforniaHaunts.org. Again, that website is undergoing a lot of maintenance right now, so I'm starting to move stuff over, so it's probably incomplete at this point, but we're getting there, little by little, baby steps to get this thing moved. If you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We like to think that we're equal opportunity here. So that way, the whole key of this is to get the word out about the show. That's what we want. Word of mouth, right? Oh, but I forgot about Instagram, right? Ghosty Gal. I'm Ghosty Gal on Instagram. Go ahead and check out my Instagram. Do some likes on there as well. TikTok, California Haunts. If you have a TikTok, come on over and what is this? Ooh, don't touch me. There's something right here. Um, I can feel it. It feels like little spider webs. Um, yeah, TikTok, California Haunts, and we have promo videos for these shows. There's also some comedy stuff we put over there, and some stories of ghostly locations here in California that we've investigated. So we got all kinds of stuff over on their TikTok. So check that out. And remember, if you're over on their TikTok, be sure to hit the like button and all that good stuff. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. I really, really, really appreciate it. And if you see that ticker along the bottom, that's because California Haunts. No, I don't sniff anything. I'm just here. It's just allergies. I'm not a sniffer. Okay. California Haunts. I hate allergies. California Haunts doesn't charge for investigating. We simply go out because we're out to help people, and that's our main goal is to help people learn about the paranormal and educate and help. Help them get the ghost out or whatever we need to do to help them out. So, that being said, everything comes out of our pockets as team members, plus it comes out of my pocket, like for equipment. If something breaks, of course, I have to come up with the money to fix it. So we could use a little help, especially with this, because, of course, I'm paying for the internet bill and the computers and everything else, so when something busts, cha-ching, right? So if you could help me out a little bit, that'd be great at paypal.me at California Haunts. Or if you don't like PayPal, Venmo at just Venmo California Haunts. That would be a great help. But I want to thank each and every one of you that listen regularly, each and every one of you that are new that have come on to listen. I really appreciate you all. And again, we're going to have a great week of shows. So this is only the beginning, and I will see you tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Have a good night.